I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube. Joel Saints. This is my buddy Mark Gillman. We're here to discuss the potential of Superman Legacy. So, new Superman, new Lois Lane. James Gunn is in charge. What you got? Yeah, you got to feel real good. Like if nothing else good happens. No, I gotta say he's got a really great track record. So
Yeah.
I think it looks like DC has. Well, we'll judge with the trailer because that's been. I know we've talked about this. That's been my biggest issue with their movies. They show way too much in the trailer.
Yeah, Warner Brothers is notorious for doing that, and like pretty much the whole movie of Batman v Superman was shown in the trailer. There was no surprise.
Yeah, like that's the word. That's the one trailer I did not watch online. It aired on, like for commercial on TV, and I'm watching this. I'm thinking, God, was there anything left to reveal there?
No.
And then I watched him. I'm like, I told my wife, I said, I saw most of this in the trailer.
Yeah.
And she goes, really? And I'm like, and then I showed her the trailer. She goes, Jesus.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and again, the new Batman movie, really good. But half of it, the trailer, it's like, why are you doing that to your product?
Yeah, I made it a point to not watch because I learned from Batman v Superman. Anytime there's a DC movie that I want to watch, do not watch the trailer. Like, watch the teaser. Do not watch anything else.
So there's going to be some Justice League members in this movie. Though the one they named was Metamorpho, who can change color or shape or color. So that's one. It looks like we're going to get some other Justice League members too in this movie. That leads me to believe that the villain is pretty tough. At least that's my interpretation. I could be wrong. Don't hold me to it. Who do you think may be the villain, and who do you want to see as the villain?
That's a good question. Honestly, in this movie, and I think that James Gunn in the seat is definitely a good move. I would like to see. I would like to see Metallo. I would like to see Metallo, and I definitely want to see a Bizarro Superman, but maybe for the sequel. Maybe not right away, but as much as I love Lex Luthor, we've had Lex Luthor so much, and I loved when you were talking about Bryan Cranston in one of the other videos we did, being a great cast for the role of Lex Luthor, and as awesome as that is, I would be fine to not have him, or maybe just have him like show up for a few minutes, but not really have a big role in the movie.
I think if you have Lex Luthor in the movie, he doesn't necessarily have to be your threat. We've seen that before too, where not necessarily in film, but in like the animated in Justice League Unlimited, and even in the Superman cartoon, where Tim Daly voiced Superman. Great job, by the way.
Yes, he did.
Lex Luthor, yes, was a threat in that cartoon, but not all the time. There were times he's in a certain set of episodes that he's not the real threat, but he knows who the threat is, or he's aware of the other threat, which is interesting that the writers did. And I mean, that's something you could do in this movie too, really. Luthor himself doesn't have to be the threat. He could just be in the movie and know what the threat is.
Right.
Because he's one of the most informed villains ever. This isn't. I think that's the thing. Like, the difference between Lex Luthor and the Joker having information. Lex Luthor's information is he'll sit back and watch how it plays out, where you're not sure what the hell Joker will do with information.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Like, I remember when they did the Batman, the late Kevin Conroy, God,
Yeah.
and him and Tim Daly are doing, the crossover, and Batman has kryptonite. He goes, "It doesn't take much, does it?" And Joker's got so many pounds of it in the city, and I'm like, oh.
Yes.
So Batman's there not for Superman, but he's there for Joker. And so that's one of the best written animated crossovers I've seen. That was just phenomenal. And Tim Daly just voicing Superman. I mean, I remember watching him in Wings. I remember
Same.
Right?
Yes.
Storm of the Century, he was really great in.
Yes, he was.
I've never seen nothing of his that I didn't like. So, and he's a good actor. I mean,
yes, he is. He and his sister both.
Yeah, and so you could have Lex Luthor in the movie, but not be the villain. Now that's the thing with members of the Justice League being in this movie. And I know I'm giving the long about answer, so I apologize.
No, you're fine.
I sort of wonder. Now they did show him in the Krypton, the Krypton series. This character I'm mentioning. So they could show him, and he could be a part in the movie. He could be the villain. This is a character who deals in collecting bounties and has the technology and the power to outpunch Superman. Lobo could be. Now, there's a big but with that.
Yeah.
If you have Lobo, you're going to have your first rated R Superman.
Yeah.
Because we all know how Chucky uses the F word like a comma. Well, so does Lobo.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows Earth language because he's been there before, and he's not afraid to blow up half of Earth to get to Superman, or blow up whatever to get to Superman. Whatever he's got to do to collect the bounty on Superman, he'll do. Which makes him crazy as fuck. And he is crazy too. Like he literally, there's a part in a comic where he's smoking a cigar and he presses a switch and it just blows up a planet. Yeah, I told him to give me that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
He's like little Marvin the Martian.
Yeah, but yeah,
he blew up the Earth to get to Bugs Bunny.
He went to Marvin's school.
Yeah,
I believe he did. I think that could be interesting. I think if James Gunn, or if he shoots for Brainiac and pulls that off, that would be really impressive. Because again, it depends on how many Justice League members are going to be in this movie too. Because if you have somebody who's a big threat to Superman, like a Brainiac, the guy you said, Lobo, Justice League members are going to get pushed out the way real quick.
Yeah.
Especially if they're lesser known ones. It's like, I love Metamorpho, but bro, it doesn't matter how many shapes you change. Lobo will gladly blow a hole in you. Or a hole in a building. It doesn't matter. And that's another thing. Lex Luthor, where you could play him as, well, he's just somebody who knows the situation and knows what's going on. That we saw this a bit with Batman vs. Superman, where he was involved with the making of Doomsday. Now, I didn't love that concept, but I get why they did it. I mean, Luthor's lost his mind, which, okay, I can buy that. Or he's under if you want to say he's under some sort of mind control by Darkseid, maybe. I almost thought the way they were doing that back then. I sort of thought they were going to go for Brainiac because it seemed like Luthor was being mind controlled at times.
Mm-hmm.
But I know Luthor can be psychotic too.
Oh yeah, he was very psychotic in that movie.
Yeah, I mean,
very, very psychotic.
This was a far cry from Gene Hackman's Lex
Mm-hmm.
Luthor.
Yeah, and Kevin Spacey. Yeah.
I don't know. I could see Kevin's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin's was like a serial killer.
Yes, it was. It's almost like the guy from. He was almost a lot like the guy from Seven. As much as I have issue with Kevin Spacey, I loved him in the role of Lex Luthor.
Yeah, they cast the right guy for sure. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. My only issue with that movie, I wish him and Brandon Ralph would have had more scenes, but less
Mm-hmm.
is more though too.
Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
I love Superman Returns.
I think that's the thing too. They were Superman turn returns was really smart in how they built. They didn't show Superman and Lex Luthor together till near the end of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
which was really smart. There
Mm-hmm.
was a build between the two of leading up to it. And that's the thing too. If you have whoever you have as your villain, you can have that build up, but I want them to make sure whoever their villain is, um, make sure your character plays it to the comic because, and really, if you do pick Lobo or whoever, be careful because who hired, like with Lobo, you have to go, who hired him?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the one big question because Lobo, I'll say this. Lobo not only takes payment up front, he takes payment afterward too. He
Mm-hmm.
wants like, hey, you either pay me now or I no, I'm not. No, he's not somebody who waits for his money, but you will once you pay him, you will get what you.
Mm-hmm.
um, which would be interesting to see if because he's immortal. That's the thing with Lobo; he can't be killed. Um, which would now would he use kryptonite? Yeah, he would. He has a lot of technology on his ship. He has this tracking thing that can track people that are moving, and it says "shithead alert, shithead."
Nice. I need something like that where I work at my job. So,
You need like the motion version of it when someone's coming near.
yeah.
So we're getting a new Superman. We're getting a new Lois Lane. Do you think we'll get Superman's backstory again in another movie?
Honestly, I hope not. I I mean, and how it's been told has been wonderful. Um, and I'm going to go all the way back to the 1950s series with George Reeves. I enjoyed the backstory on the show. I really enjoyed the backstory on Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve and Marlon Brando. That one is absolutely my favorite. Um, but especially if you're bringing Justice League people in, I would be okay with like a couple little flashbacks, but I would like it to be moved forward. Like most of us, we already know who Superman is.
Yeah.
Um, I would like to see it, just not waste any time, you know, devoting so much of the movie to that and just going on with your current story. I don't need. I mean, and we had it in Smallville also. I just think that you know let's just start with all this out of the way. If you want to pepper in a few little flashbacks or something, that's fine. But I would like to see them just go straight into him being Superman.
I believe you had it in the Superman series with Dean Cain too.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm going off memory on that one. That's been on
Mm-hmm.
since I've seen it.
Yeah, same.
But I agree with you. Like, do exactly what Batman did. Don't have it.
Yeah.
No offense. No, if I've seen Martha Kent, and was Bruce's father's name Jonathan Kent, or no, it was something else. Um, I've Thomas Wayne. I've seen
Yeah.
I've seen I've seen Martha Wayne and Thomas Wayne killed more times than I've seen Judith Margaret Myers killed. I really don't need to see that anymore.
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
now people want to say, well, don't you continually to see Judith Margaret Myers? Yes, but the difference is there. I'm throwing in an individual DVD to do it.
Right.
With every new Batman, most of them now, because there has been the one exception recently
Mm-hmm.
that didn't have the backstory. I'm thinking, thank there is a God.
Yes.
Somewhere out there, Hollywood may be listening to some God going, you don't need the goddamn fucking backstory.
Right.
You don't. Superman, you don't need the back.
Yeah. I
Go
just
ahead.
don't
Sorry.
really. Oh, you're fine. I was just saying. I agree 100%.
That's the thing too. Like, if you want to tell me something, tell me exactly where this is picking up from. Like, if you're, because I don't think I'd like to think they're not going to get into backstories of Superman and Lois Lane.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to think they're going to get into the actual, okay, Clark Kent's a reporter, so he's reporting, he's as much interviewing criminals as Lois Lane is, or this, that, or covering this, which leads to him into the mischief of turning into Superman. Which could happen. Um, that's the thing too. Is he working directly with Lois, or are they not on the same assignment all the time? That's another aspect of it, as you well know. So that's going to be interesting to see if they do that. I
Yeah.
do think if they do stick them together, okay, are they married? Are they dating? There's that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was one big problem that I had with Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. That was one, and like the direction that he took it was, you know, I always liked what Richard Donner said. The guy who made the first two Superman movies. He said Lois Lane doesn't fall in love and kiss Clark Kent. She falls in love with Superman.
Yeah.
And like I said, I can respect what Zack Snyder did, and understand what he did and appreciate it. It's not what I liked. But there was no anything like that. I mean, she knew right away almost who he was, and they chose to keep their relationship a secret. But I just I would like to see Lois in love with Superman, of course, but I would love to see her busting Clark's butt, and just like being a total smart A with him. I would like to see her always trying to one up him and seeing him as competition, and just. But I mean, it's definitely a friendship there, but
Mhm.
there's a very thick competition between the two of them, and I would like to see that relationship dynamic, because I think that could be, especially with James Gunn, I think he could make that fun. He could make that whole relationship dynamic fun, and I would like to see, if you're going to bring Lex Luthor in, let him already be in prison.
Yeah.
I would like to see him, already in prison, and maybe mention him, but I would like it to be as Lex Luthor free as possible.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Lex Luthor thing too. Like, again, you don't need Lex Luthor in a Superman movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Right.
that's what there's really great things about. I'll go back to the animated series. Lex Luthor was not in every episode,
Right.
and he wasn't necessarily mentioned in every episode, but
Mm-hmm.
you knew that character is always around somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And that's a play to that. If look, lots and lots and lots of people know the history of Superman and Lex Luthor. You
Yeah.
don't need to mention Lex Luthor to know Luthor's around.
Right.
That's a given.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Exactly.
I don't need to hear Joker's laugh to know he's around. I
Mm-hmm.
don't I don't need like when I watched Batman Begins, like the very first time
Mm-hmm.
when it first came out, I didn't know what they were going to do at the end. But when they were talking, and when him and Commissioner Gordon were at the end, he said about when you're wearing a mask, I'm thinking, and he had this like something in a case, like it's gonna be Joker, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, they're.
Mhm.
And then Heath Ledger, delivered the performance of a lifetime.
Oh yeah.
It's like that's the thing. It's like Joker is always a constant in Batman's universe. So is
Mm-hmm.
Lex Luthor is a constant in.
Right.
Now, could you get away with saying Luthor hired Bobo? No,
No.
no, no. You could what you could get away with is that because I could see. Here's the thing: Lobo not only buys technology, he steals it. Like he doesn't give a shit. Because in Lobo's mind, who's gonna fuck with me?
Nobody.
Like, right? Like he doesn't. eh, Now, could I see Dark Side higher Lobo? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, I can see many people hiring him.
Mm-hmm.
Brainiac, sure, same
Mm-hmm.
thing. I could see him. Now the difference might be, oh, I want Superman alive, and that's the thing. You got to. Wouldn't Lobo ask? What? No, no. The only thing he cares about is the money.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and what also? Okay, I want this for you, for me bringing in Superman alive. I want money, and I want technology, and I want to pick what I want. And if you tell him no, the only thing he's going to do is flip Brainiac off and say, "See ya."
Yeah. Yep.
Like, okay,
Exactly.
you want to tell me no? I could do the same thing to you.
Yeah.
Um, and this man is very much a businessman. He's sort of a weird space Lex Luthor in a way of he's just got nothing but attitude to the point of, look, you want to pay me to do this, that's fine, but I'm picking what you pay me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's on my terms, not on what your terms of payment are. I'm setting those terms. You're setting the terms of how I'm bringing in the mark,
Mm-hmm.
which you can. It,
Yeah.
you know, but other than that, now if they went Brainiac or if they went the guy you picked, who would you cast?
Metallo. Yeah.
Yeah, Metallica. Who would you pick?
Oh man, I don't know because Metallo would be. Uh, Metallo was like a really big, like a giant. Um, I don't know. I ooh, that would be a tough one because obviously they would have a lot of prosthetics or CGI covering him. But I'm trying to think of whose voice would be good. Hmm,
Have you seen the?
I don't
I
know.
can't think of the guy's name right offhand, but he's a villain in the new Fast and Furious movie. Not Jason Momoa, but the other guy, the blonde-haired guy.
I'm trying to think. I'm not sure.
He plays. I'm gonna have to look him up real quick, but he plays Jack Reacher in the Amazon series.
Is it Chris Pine?
Oh, Alan Richardson.
I'm not familiar with him.
Okay, I don't know if this will go through. I hope it will. Oh, let me click on your name, damn it. Technology is a wonderful thing. Technology is a wonderful thing. So I don't know if this will go through to you. It should.
Okay.
So let's see if this pops. Where's my thing? There you are. Working my computer so well. Not really. I'll say that I am. I don't know if you'll be able to see that but if you click on it, you should.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
That's who Alan Richardson is and what he looks like. He's also very tall. He played one of the Ninja Turtles in one of the live action Ninja Turtle movie. He played one.
Oh, okay, cool.
So he's really tall.
Okay.
He was also in the Titans series.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been in superhero stuff. And he knows how to play a heel too, because he just recently played one.
Mm-hmm.
Good actor. So he could do the role. I think with Lobo, I would literally cast the guy who did him in Krypton.
Mm-hmm.
Because that guy did it right. Now they censored the character a bit, and it's television; they're going to.
Yeah.
But with the movie, they don't have to.
Right.
You know that F word you couldn't say on that show? Well, guess what?
Yeah. True.
You're good.
How would you like the tone of the movie to be? Because I'm used to James Gunn as like Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's kind of like a fun adventure and, a lot of comedy. Is that kind of what you would want the tone to be for Superman, or something different?
It depends on, number one, who your villain is. Not necessarily just, but also depends on where Superman is in his life. Because again, we're presuming things too. I presume that they're going to have I hope anyway that they're not going to have this crazy backstory. That most of the time is going to be spent in Metropolis, and we're going to see the life of Clark Kent and Lois Lane. But are they together? Are they not? That's something they could play with any way they like. Now, the Justice League part of it, again, I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, that I would say the Justice League is together. I, again, could be wrong. If I am, and it's just these other superheroes helping out Superman, why are they there? How are they there more specifically? And why are they a part of this story specifically? That's another part of it. Because if you're not having the Justice League together, which I don't, but if somebody told me tomorrow, well, James Gunn isn't actually having the Justice League together, I don't know if I'd buy that. Simply because of Metamorpho being there, and he's a member of the Justice League. Okay. Now, do I think Batman will make an appearance in this movie? I don't know. I don't think it'll get that big. You could have him at the end as a cameo, or just have Superman meet him at the Justice League headquarters. I don't think we'll get Wonder Woman in this movie. No, because the thing I keep hearing is that they're going to recast Wonder Woman. I don't know how true that is. Do you think they will, or?
I don't know. Gal Gadot was perfect casting, I think,
Yeah.
but I was underwhelmed by Wonder Woman 84. Um, and I think most people were, so I don't know, how that's going to go, but honestly, I would be fine if this movie was just a standalone movie. I think that's when DC is at its strongest.
Yeah.
When they do standalone movies, I just don't think that they do very well connecting movies together and trying to build a universe.
Yeah.
Um, Marvel caught lightning in a bottle when they did it, but I just think DC does better when they just do standalone movies and don't try to connect things together.
I love. We both love superhero movies, but let me say
Yes.
this. Okay. Does every single superhero or even supervillain need their own movie?
No.
And people are like, aren't you excited about Craven the Hunter, the movie? I'm like,
No.
no. Because here's the thing. Craven the Hunter, I don't need to know about his past. I already freaking know it. Um, well, I don't know, but go pick up a book.
Yeah.
That's and literally that's been my reply too. It's like go pick up a goddamn comic book and read one. They're out there. It's because once you keep going down that rabbit hole, oh, we're giving this person their. When they gave Morbius his own movie, I'm going, my God,
Yeah.
like you. Here's a great example: Spider-Man the animated series. Who shows up? Who just shows up out of the blue? Blade.
Hmm.
Like, that's what I mean. Like, what happened to just a character showing up?
Hmm.
Like in a movie where it's, for example, I wasn't expecting Iron Man to be in Spider-Man Far From Home
Hmm.
or the one Spider-Man movie where it's Vulture or something. I
Hmm.
wasn't expecting him, but he was there. He
Yeah.
just showed up.
Hmm.
Great. And you
Yeah.
might say, well, you already saw the Iron Man movie. Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't need to see the Iron Man movie to know who Iron Man is to
Hmm.
see this. That's the thing. I don't. If they had, for example, if Marvel, when they did, no, the multiverse thing, instead of going through like Peter Parker was torn with being an enemy of the public.
Hmm.
Hmm, who's a hero in Marvel who punishes people who are enemies of the public? Oh wait, the Punisher.
Yeah.
What if the Punisher just starts showing up and firing, M16 rounds at Spider-Man? Holy shit!
Hmm.
But no, they're not going to do that. Again, you don't make the same mistake Marvel is making and make every individual superhero. I
Yeah.
get I get Wonder Woman, I get Superman, I get Batman. But I don't need let me put it this way. I don't need a movie about Lex Luthor.
Right.
I don't need a movie about Doomsday.
Hmm.
Um, now I did like how they did Bizarro Doomsday in the Superman series on television. That was scary as shit.
Hmm.
And Doomsday should be scary.
Yeah.
Uh, I want to answer your question, and then I'm tap dance around it. The Superman movie I want to see, depending on where they pick it up from, because that's going to be another thing too.
Hmm.
I want to see a Superman movie where you're literally getting into, okay, here's Superman, Clark Kent, here's Lois Lane. If they're not working together, are they working against each other to the point of not like in a harmful way, like you pointed out, in a way, it's competition.
Yeah.
I also want to see if they are married, is it still competition? And how, obviously that means Lois Lane knows Clark Kent's Superman, which I would be fine with. Like, we don't have to tap dance around the whole relationship building all over again. Because we don't need that either. We don't need Lois Lane falling in love with Superman all over again. I've seen that.
Right.
I love the characters, but I don't need to see them fall in love 1,000 times. It's like,
yeah,
this isn't Romeo and Juliet, I mean, but
yeah.
So, but I also want to see sorry, how they handle the effects. Go back to the 70s practical effects. Don't use too much CGI, because I think we've seen that hurt more recent Superman.
Oh yeah.
Some of it, now I'll say this, the television show that they did, however they handled their effects, handle it that way.
Yeah.
But, and I know it was, well, television? Yeah, television. How they handled their special effects, handle it that way, because I didn't see anything I didn't like. And that's important. And I know this is a bad, if people say, you're going to pick a movie that had great CGI, and yeah, I am. Because that CGI that I'm going to pick from this movie still stands the test of time. Go look at the CGI for Terminator 2 Judgment Day and look at modern CGI and tell me honestly that it's gotten better.
Yeah. When
Terminator 2 CGI holds up better today than what modern CGI holds up to. That's, you might say, oh, it's Terminator 2. Yeah, I'm picking the best movie that had the best CGI. Because that's the point. Here's something from 1992. Hollywood told us the CGI is going to get even better. Ask yourself now, has it? Because I would say not really better, because it's not, it's more, how often are you using it? And there is such a thing as overuse. The problem with the Thing movie, when they did The Thing in 2011, where it was the prequel to John Carpenter's Thing, the effects in it are awful.
I've heard. I haven't even watched it. So
now, watch it if you can, because always judge for yourself. But the effects in it it's like, what the, why?
Yeah.
You have this is why we shouldn't just jump into artificial intelligence, because not all things artificial intelligence are a good thing to keep using when you have people who do makeup, who do practical effects, and that looks just as good, if not better, than the CGI you often use. And 2001's The Thing is a sort of, look at how shitty this CGI looks. Like, what did you think of Man of Steel CGI? What did you think of that?
Some of it was good, but some of it was just too. It was too much, and I'm not hating on the Star Wars prequels, but there was a big problem I had with a lot of the vehicles and a lot of the ships in Episode 2, primarily when they were really pushing all digital, almost all CGI.
Yeah.
It felt like a lot of the vehicles and the ships were like um, everything was light as a feather and could move like super duper fast. But like when they were using models in the original and the sequel trilogy, things like the Millennium Falcon felt like they had weight and some power to them, and they couldn't like do all these crazy flippy doos. There was some gravity and stuff, and I thought they looked better. And
Yeah.
I like something a little more organic, but I felt like, especially the fight at the end with Superman and Zod, it was just too. It moved like they tried to move it way too fast, and it just looked too. Okay, I'll explain it this way. Have you ever bought a gift bag at somewhere like Dollar Tree and it has some glitter on it?
Yeah.
And like by the time you get it out to your car, it's like all over you, it's all over your seat, and you're like, that's too much glitter. That's how I feel the CGI was in Man of Steel. It was too much glitter.
My my sister-in-law bought bought us this bag from the dollar store that had glitter on it,
Hmm.
and literally, like the glitter fell off the bag and
Yeah.
onto my lap, and I'm like, my wife goes, she starts laughing. She goes, "You're glitter-tastic." Like, yes. I'm like, by the way, we're going out in public, so I'm just gonna go like this.
Right.
I'm not wiping it off.
You're
That
gonna
way, people
sparkle.
can literally see me. Um,
Right.
but
You're a Twilight vampire.
yeah, I sparkle. I sparkle. But yeah, I agree with you.
Mhm.
There's such a thing as too much of it,
Mhm.
and some movies just suffer for it.
Yeah.
Man of Steel is one of them.
Mhm.
The 2011 The Thing is another. I just think bad CGI. I'll give another one because its CGI is pretty crap. It's some of it is
Mhm.
the Blair Witch, the not the Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows, but the Blair Witch sequel that says it's sequeling the first movie, where you can tell there's CGI being used, and
Mhm.
you can really tell it's CGI being used.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
When you can tell it's fake, your believability is gone.
Yeah.
Like when you bring a drone, first of all, I get bringing a drone, but when you show the top of the woods and basically you're just using some sort of trick CGI shot to explain something, it's like, yeah, you've lost me there because I spotted the CGI.
Mhm.
Um, and it just, I like the movie for the most part. I like the scare
Mhm.
factor, because I do think it's creepy.
Mhm.
But the CGI really just like, it's like I didn't believe you anymore.
Mhm.
And with a horror movie,
Yeah.
you want believability.
Yeah.
From a look, not just from a story standpoint, but from a look. Like,
Mhm.
there's a reason we still look at Jaws like a masterpiece, because it's believable. It
Yeah.
looks believable. You say, well, the shark didn't work. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
It made the movie more scarier.
Mhm.
Um, so there's that. I'd rather more practical effects be used for a Superman movie than a
Mhm.
bunch of CGI nonsense.
Yeah. Same. And I mean, it wasn't perfect, and there were some spots that it really didn't look good, but I think for the most part, Superman Returns did well with CGI, but there were a few parts where it was like, that looks a little bad. But um, how do you want, like, um, if James Gunn goes for a more serious tone?
Oh,
Um, Is that something you would like, or would you like it to be something a little more rock and roll like Guardians?
Here's the thing. Again, this all points back to who your villain is.
Yeah.
It's because it's not so much Superman and Lois Lane. Sure, there's going to be again. It's going to be who your villain is. If your villain is somebody who is a foul mouth, swearing bounty hunter who can be is a smart ass dick also, then the movie is going to be a mixture of okay, this is he's serious. Here's the thing though. Once he does something, there's him cursing about something, and you're sort of laughing about that. But when Lobo takes action, it's very serious. Oh, you don't want to tell me where Superman is? He presses a button and literally have him press a button. Like he'll stop off somewhere before coming to Metropolis. Have him press a button. All of Los Angeles is gone. That's what he like that because here's the thing. Here's a guy who literally did blow up a planet when they would not hand over what he wanted or who he wanted. So if he's not scared to blow up a goddamn planet, he's not going to hesitate to blow up an entire fucking state or an entire planet itself. Like if he'd have to blow up Earth to get this, if Earth said, well, you have to take on us to get this, okay, see you, bye, boom, it'd be gone. Earth would be gone. That's that's the seriousness of the character. There's the cussing and that funny shit because his cussing is funny. It's just what, but there's that serious moment when his action is more the serious tone of it. Now with Brainiac, it can't be lighthearted because that's a very dark, maniacal character. Like if they said we're going full on dark side for this movie, that's fucking dark. That's do not take your shit. Okay.
Right.
If somebody takes their kids to see Superman Legacy and Dark Side's the villain, call me.
But what would you feel like if they introduced an all new villain? Maybe it's not a super villain, but not exactly a copycat of Lex Luthor, but someone who I don't know, someone that maybe had a lot of power, a lot of influence, maybe a military leader, like a regime leader or something. And because I think that's what, and I'm not trying to reference something, that's definitely panned. I think that's a story that Christopher Reeve was kind of going for when he wrote The Quest for Peace, was that there was supposed to be someone who, because we were in a big arms race at the time, and he was trying to find someone who was, I guess, like a revolution leader that was going to push a button to launch a nuke, and it would make all these nations go at war with each other because he knew that Superman couldn't stop it all. And I was thinking, what if, they kind of went like an angle like that and introduced someone new? And, maybe it was more of a kind of a moral thing, kind of like the Batman was at the end. Batman was, helping the people. There was the Penguin and different people that appeared in the movie, but ultimately, Gotham City was flooded, but he was there more as kind of a symbol of hope instead of the Dark Knight, and he was helping rescue people and lead people to safety. Um, maybe Superman is in a situation like that where it's a really saving the world from itself kind of situation.
I would like that very much. And here's the thing. you could have a character who's sort of this master manipulator. Now you could play it a couple ways. You could play it where they're close to the president and they're manipulating the president's move, or even or manipulating a third world dictator's moves. Maybe the dictator isn't so much the problem, that the guy behind the dictator is the problem. Here's a perfect. Again, there's a lot of history like that. Look at characters like Rasputin in Russia. Here's
a revolutionary. Yeah,
it's like Jesus Christ. The guy was psychotic, and he had the leader's ear. That's you often get people like that throughout history, where they're sort of going, that person's your enemy, and that person is, and that it's not true. But how can they determine that wholeheartedly, even in a modern world that we live in? Because look, you can't trust. There's times you can't trust social media. There's times you can't trust. There's things out there you just can't trust. So when someone who's close to you, who's going, that person's trying to use you, that person's trying to con you, and they know they're not, but they're convincing you that they are. You've now created a situation where they've got control. They've got as much as the third world dictator would have their finger on the button, the manipulator more has his finger on the button than anything else.
Yeah.
And that's something that you could play with.
Yeah, there's so much potential with Superman. I mean, it could be like, saving the world from itself. Yeah. It could be him fighting a supervillain. It could be him, doing so many things. There's so much good potential there that I feel like we've not really gotten to all of it yet in film.
So now, have you ever? The Dark Horse comics did Superman versus Alien, and how they did that was, bro. Superman was in a far off part of the galaxy where the sun. He was away from the sun, saying his power was only at half strength, and he's fighting these xenomorphs, and they're overpowering him, and they cocoon him. You know what happens? An egg opens up and a face hugger. He wakes up with there's a dead face hugger. I'm like, oh god, there's a xenomorph in Superman. Things are going bad. We're gonna have a xenomorph Superman. Oh shit.
Oh wow.
But it's really interesting how they did that and how they wrote that. It was better than Predator versus Batman. Not that doesn't have its moments, but now Predator and Alien are part of Marvel Comics now. See, I sort of wonder if Marvel's going to say, well, since DC has Lobo, we're going to use Predator as our bounty hunter. It's like, oh shit. I don't know how I feel about it. No, Alien. Holy shit! The aliens can't be killed. The unkillable creature. I mean, when you're surviving a rocket thrust to the face, that's pretty tough.
That's pretty, yeah. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Oh my god. What did you think of how would you rank the Supermans?
I'm going to rank them in my enjoyment of them.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in how well they're made. First of all, Superman 1978, Superman the movie. That's my favorite movie of all time. Second, I'm going to go Superman Returns, then Superman 2. Yeah. And I do prefer the Richard Donner cut. Then I'll go Superman 3, Superman 4, Batman v Superman, and Man of Steel.
There, I like. I'm trying to think. I don't think I have any more questions.
I don't think I do either. I can't think of anything. I'm really excited, and I think it's, you know, I know you weren't happy with the David Gordon Green trilogy of Halloween, and that's how I felt because Superman has been, that's been my favorite movie since I was a little kid, and that's never, you know, I've never like strayed away from that. And what Zack Snyder did, I totally respect the story that he did and understand the direction he wanted to take. It just wasn't what I wanted and I thought the character should be. So I didn't like um and that's not a slight at Henry Cavill at all because he's amazing. Henry Cavill is a heck of an actor. Um I just I've just had to suffer through, 10 years of not liking the direction they were taking Superman and thinking they were going to build this whole universe around it. And I jumped off the DC train. Really, the only thing that DC has done that I've liked in the last 10 years was the first Wonder Woman movie and Joker. And I did love the Batman.
Yeah.
I think that was definitely a good term. But other than that, I've just really been unimpressed with them. So I'm hoping that with changing the lineup of who's in charge and getting James Gunn in, that this is going to be the start of what feels right.
Yeah, I think with the thing with Man of Steel is too like, and I was saying this when I was watching it on my TV when it came to television. I didn't get to theaters to see it.
Hmm.
When it came to television, and I knew Zod was going to be the villain,
Hmm.
and I'm like, they've got a lot of. It feels like this movie is supposed to be a deeper story than what it is. So, because I'm watching Lois Lane try to track this person down who keeps saving people's lives. Now we know that's Superman.
Hmm.
We know, it's Clark Kent, if you will. And he explains to her that his father was tried to, tried to protect him because there would be people who will want to use him.
Hmm.
And here's the thing: his father's not wrong.
Right.
I love Kevin Costner in the movie.
Hmm.
You know, I said this to
I thought he was good.
my wife. I said, pull back on the Zod thing. Wait
Hmm.
to do Zod to the next movie.
Hmm.
Don't necessarily give Superman a full-fledged villain in this movie. Let Superman discover who he's truly, because that's what it felt like. They're trying to discover who Superman's meant to be.
Yeah,
And I don't mind that.
I don't either.
If you don't need a villain all the time to
Hmm.
determine, you don't need a big bad heel Zod to
Hmm.
determine who Superman is.
Hmm.
If Superman keeps making the right decisions, and maybe there's a decision he would have had to make, it's not necessarily Zod, but it's something else to like, okay, what if there was somebody, not necessarily a Lex Luthor, but somebody who was doing something and he had to make a decision of whether to kill that person or not. He says, no, I'm not going to take a life, though he easily could.
Hmm.
That's a big sort of character
Hmm.
development where you think,
Right.
okay, this is not General Zod.
Hmm.
This is not. This is somebody who's choosing to be that better
Hmm.
person.
You have
And
all the absolute power, but how are you going to use it?
right, and that's sort of the message of the movie in the sense
Hmm.
that they've been trying to get across. And it's like, I don't feel you need Zod to do that in this movie.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong, Michael Shannon, good,
But
great actor who
he's
played Zod.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
great
love
actor,
Michael.
great actor. But I feel like with this movie, they're shoving so much down your throat to get
Hmm.
to Zod when we've already seen this great backstory of not necessarily just of Superman, but of Zod himself. That's something we got in Superman 2, but not to this depth.
Yeah.
And I like that. If you're going to make things a little different, then okay. But I feel you, at times, you don't need Zod to say Superman's going to be this good guy.
Right.
At least in the first movie. Save
Mm-hmm.
Michael Shannon for the second movie,
Mm-hmm.
and that army for the second movie, and him not know, have him not know about Zod the way he did in the original part 2, and the shock of it.
Yeah.
It's rewarding.
It is, and I love that about the first movie. We see Zod right at the beginning of the movie,
Yep.
but he's saved for the next movie.
Yep.
He's set up there and he's saved, and I think that would have been a great thing that they did in the trailer for Man of Steel, was where it was like a radio broadcast. That would have been a great after credit scene where Zod, breaks through with that broadcast,
Yeah.
and then we set up the next movie. But it was just totally all over the place, and to me it felt like a mess. But I mean, I know a lot of people that loved it and they really enjoyed the message of it, and I'm glad for them. It just fell flat for me.
Yeah. I'm with you. I feel like they're trying to do too many things in that movie.
Hmm.
And I don't think it's not. I will never blame actors
Right.
because they're there for a job.
Hmm.
I always look behind the scene and go, "What the fuck are you doing? Having Zod in this having Zod at the second half of this movie when you don't need him yet?
Yeah.
Have it. Have Superman not know about Zod.
Hmm.
Have there's that beautiful part of not knowing completely about Krypton. Like Krypton got destroyed.
Hmm.
But really, is mentioning Zod an importance? No, he's not.
No.
Because no one believed Zod was ever going to escape the Phantom Zone.
Mm-mm.
That's that's another thing too that pissed me off. They did not put the Phantom Zone over the way they did in the original 1 and 2.
No.
Like the Phantom Zone felt like a fucking prison in 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Not so much in Man of Steel.
No. When the movie Supergirl shows the Phantom Zone better than you can, that's a problem. That's a big problem. So yeah, that's
When
my
I
thoughts on
when
that.
when I discuss Superman, I'm bringing in the expert. You see here.
But I'll ask you really quickly, did you see Brightburn, the evil Superman movie?
Yeah, that was good.
Yes, it was.
See, it's like you can have. Here's the thing. How did DC not sue for copyright?
Hmm.
Because they did this. They did
Hmm.
Evil Superman.
Hmm.
Like how did I know they don't use the Superman name, but
Hmm.
they pretty much use a similar concept that DC used.
I think it's by Warner Brothers, so that's probably how they got away with it.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't pay attention to who made the movie when I watched it.
Yeah, and they own the rights to it, so that was, I think that's how they got away with it.
I wonder if DC got some kickback for that
Oh, I'm
shit.
sure they did. I'm sure, and they made a lot of money from, the marketing and everything. People going out and buying Superman stuff because of this movie. But I that's something that if you want to see, if we were talking about if Superman had absolute power and used it for good, this is a good one and done movie to see it if he chose to do bad.
Bad, yeah. Brightburn is that movie. It
Yes,
really is.
highly
And that's
recommend it.
yeah. And that's the thing. You don't need a bad You don't need an evil Superman movie. It's already technically out there in Brightburn,
Yes,
and it's really really great. Uh,
yes, it is. If
so
you want a Superman horror movie, you've got
yeah,
it.
yeah, right. It's okay if you burn everything down. Go right ahead.
Yes.
Oh my God. When can you come on next time, my friend?
As far as I know, I should be good for a week from now.
A week from now.
Mhm.
So Monday or Wednesday or
Yeah, probably Wednesday would be good, but you just let me know how your schedule works and we'll figure
Wednesday?
it out.
Wednesday's good because
Yeah.
I'm trying to get all these other podcasts scheduled too because I want to make sure
Right.
at least bring you on because October's coming around.
Mhm.
So we're going to be discussing more.
Mm.
What did you see Strange New Worlds yet?
No, I haven't. I haven't
Check it
yet.
out. Check it out. Um, they've made the Gorn scary again.
Nice.
They've made them scary
Nice.
in every way, um,
Mm.
and I think they've done a really phenomenal job. Just I won't spoil it for you, but go watch it. Highly,
Will do.
that's one I highly recommend. That's been really
Mm.
great to watch.
Nice.
But what's your favorite Star Trek cameo? You got one?
Mm, I am going to say anytime they bring Sulu in,
Yeah.
that's always my favorite. And I think it was in, I want to say it was um, maybe in Generations where Sulu comes in on the Excelsior and he says fly her apart. Or no, I think that was part six, The Undiscovered Country. And he says the phrase fly her apart. And he breaks all of Starfleet's rules and engages in a battle he's not supposed to, and he's like, I'm going to do what I want. So Sulu is always a big pleaser for me.
Star Trek: The Next Generation Encounter at Farpoint, Dr. Leonard McCoy's cameo is really, really good. And for those who don't know it, um, Riker is looking for Data.
Mhm.
Where's Commander Data? And Worf's like, well, yeah, he's escorting an admiral to a shuttle. He goes, why didn't the admiral use a transporter? The admiral is a very unique man. And freaking DeForest Kelly, coming back to play McCoy one last time. He goes, "You, sir, you want my atoms scattered over space, boy?" "No, sir." He goes, "I just figured with your age." "Hold on a second there, boy. What about my age?" "Well, you're 137 years, sir." "Tell me how you know that so exactly." I know every fact I'm exposed to, sir." He looks at his ears. "I don't see no points on your ears, boy, but you sound like a Vulcan."
I
I'm
love
an
it.
I'm an android, sir. "Almost as bad." And
Yeah. Yep.
and then there's this sweet moment where he's holding on to Data and he's starting to remember Spock. And he
Mhm.
goes, "Well, she's got the right name. You treat her like a lady and she'll always bring you home." He's talking about the Enterprise. And
Mhm.
it's like, for fuck's sake, you just cut a promo on this android. Like,
Mhm.
like classic fucking McCoy here.
Yes. He hates technology and he gets aggravated with Vulcans. So I mean that was perfect.
Like, when you watch the Star Trek movie, where
Mhm.
he's cutting a promo on Jim Kirk about some old rule to bring him out of retirement.
Oh yeah.
And I instantly think of the promo he's cutting on Data.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yes, and Encounter at Farpoint is, yes, the pilot episode of Generations. It's where you meet Q. Uh,
Mhm.
by the way, if you've never seen the actor who plays Q, a real good series he was in Legend with
Mhm.
Richard Dean Anderson, a western. Only
Nice.
lasted one season, though, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So here's the thing, too. He did a voiceover role a similar character like Q. He did what's the character's name? Oh God, I'm gonna kick myself. I'm trying to. Discord from My Little Pony.
Uh-huh.
That's the same guy who played Q voiced him. So
Nice. He's a talented guy. He really is.
Is. That's the thing too. Who was the guy? The guy who played the original Uncle Phil. He voiced Shredder. Yeah, he voiced Shredder in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, damn. You ever see where he made that cameo on what is it? The show with Urkel, Family Matters.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's hilarious. He just walks in and raises his eyebrow, and the guy is laughing.
Yep. I remember that. That was good. That was really, really good.
It's hilarious. Mark, my friend, it has been fun talking Superman with you.
Thank you so much.
Well, I don't know what we're going to discuss next week. Let me think. Have you seen Return of the Living Dead?
It's been a while, but I'll need to watch it again.
You have a week, sir. You have a
Okay.
week.
Sounds good.
Next week, we're going to discuss Return of the Living Dead. One of the most interesting sequels ever made. Really, really fun movie. I'll see you next week, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the football this weekend. Or not this weekend, the 10th. Sorry.
Yes. Take care. Have a good night.
Bye-bye. What button?